So
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
It is your boy, Evan Closky, again.
Back again. We appreciate it. We are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays and follow us on the socials. And we are always accepting mailbag questions, comments, concerns, hot takes. Locked On Rays.
Hit that button.
Yes, hit that like button. LockedOnRays@gmail.com. That guy's number will be retired by the Rays someday. And maybe that guy's too. Not his number, but maybe his suit
Face?
or something, his pullover, his quarter zip.
Oh, well,
Him too.
He will. I think he will. I think Joe Madden should be in the discussion at some point.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. And they should do a giveaway of Madden glasses.
Yes. Good one. Oh,
Just
good
saying.
one. Or a white wig.
That maybe. I was going to go.
I like the glasses better. I like the glasses
Surprised. Maybe as we get deeper into the off season, we'll have the next round of Hall of Fame members. Now that the Rays have their Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Rays Hall of Fame members, yes. But first, we have more pressing matters, and that is the BBWAA.
That's a segue, people. That's a segue.
The 2024 Hall of Fame ballot has been unveiled. Ulises and I earlier this week gave our thoughts on who we would vote for this year if we had a vote, which of course we do not. But we want to hear Evan's take and his thoughts on what his ballot would look like. So Ulises, are we able to cue that up on the YouTubes here?
Yes, we can. I can do that right now. It'll just be kind of a potato picture for those watching on YouTube.
Okay.
Which, by the way, is actually the internet that Kevin has normally. Speaking.
A lot of people have Fios or Spectrum or some other mechanism. I have potato. Multiple potatoes sometimes.
Multiple potatoes and discounted potatoes too.
Yep, I just stick an antenna on top of those ripe Idaho potatoes, and it usually fails me pretty often, but it's cheap and inexpensive, and that's what I'm always looking for there.
So yeah, and you can see I do want to say a couple of really tough omissions for me. One, Gary Sheffield.
Okay, first things, no, your vision, if you're looking at this on YouTube, your vision has not gone to crap. This is the clarity and the quality of the ballot and the screenshot. So no, you're not dealing with some sort of eye disease that just comes upon you right now.
So yeah. So you can make it out though. It's good enough.
Yeah. So Evan, walk us through it.
Yeah. So first off, I had 11 people in the discussion for me. David Wright, near and dear to my heart, was on path to be a Hall of Famer. I just can't, the injuries really cut him short. And in this group, I don't know how I can give him one of the 8, but I do want to make note that David Wright, if he had about 3 more healthy seasons, I think would be a very interesting discussion into the Hall of Fame. Chase Utley, I think long-term has a route to the Hall of Fame. I think he's very worthy, had to leave someone off and can circle back to him next year sort of deal. Gary Sheffield.
You technically could have voted for him because you do in this hypothetical exercise, you would have 10 votes and you picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
I'm thinking 8. So my bad. I'm still under the 8. So what I would have done.
You don't have to pick if you're just I'm going to go with 8.
Well, yeah, no. The 10 would have been Utley and Sheffield, with David Wright being the one omission. I appreciate it. Says it right there too, so it shows you how much I read. Though I did this beforehand, so I quickly filled that out. But yeah, so those would, let's just make that 9 and 10. But with David Wright being the omission, and I just want to give him the love he deserves for being a great man.
So would you ever vote for David Wright, assuming he has 10 years on the ballot?
It would have to depend on who else is coming into the ballot.
Okay.
Sheffield, I think, is a fringe Hall of Fame guy, but 500 dingers is pretty impressive in his profession. So
he's in his last year as well.
I lean towards because here's the way that I view the Baseball Hall of Fame. Can you tell the history of the game without mentioning this player? Now, I think you could probably get away not mentioning Gary Sheffield. That he's very fringy for me, but I mean,
you could argue that's a lot of players that you can tell the history without. I mean, do we really need to mention Larry Walker, for example?
Well, no, we don't have to mention Larry Walker, but
or Fred McGriff.
It's not like it's not the only element of that. Whoa,
that's the potato.
That is the potato.
Potatoes have been reconnected again. Sometimes it's an antenna that I gotta readjust here.
Yeah. So
expensive Wi-Fi. Potato Wi-Fi.
Here's the thing, right? Like this is like think of the college football playoffs. Like you have kind of your different metrics, and then part of that is the resume. The resume is not the whole explanation of you getting into the college football playoff, but it plays a part. And the resume can sometimes speak louder for others who maybe weren't ever at the top of their game. Like Mike Evans, when his career is all said and done, do you think people are going to say, oh, like I need to explain Mike Evans to people about the NFL when we talk about the history? Probably not. But Mike Evans' resume is so damn good that you can't omit him. So you bring up a good point. It's when I say that, it's not like black and white, open and shut. There are exceptions to it where resume matters.
I actually made the same argument when I was talking about the ballot, that there are two types of Hall of Famers. I was saying one, that you need to tell the story of baseball. Like, how could you not mention this guy, right? Like what you're saying in the narrative. And then the other bucket of Hall of Famers are, you might have not thought of them, while they were playing, that they were Hall of Famers, but then you look back at their career and you're like, holy crap, they did that much. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, especially because now we're way more attuned to analytics and knowing who's kind of, even if the eye test doesn't wow you, we know who's really good. Back then we really didn't, and we didn't have the appreciation necessary. So we're really being taught today how valuable people in the past were, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's an element of it as well, to where as we get like 10 years into this, maybe a little bit more, when some of the more present day guys are retiring, which is happening now. I don't even want to say 10 years, maybe another 5 years from now. But some of those older guys are still on the ballot. So once you kind of clear kind of that, once we kind of get into I want to say like the later 2000s, people who started their career in the 2010s sort of deal, in that range, I think we're going to have a real good crystallization process of like, oh, we know these guys were good, right? Like, I mean, we just know it because we've been hammered into our head these analytical things. I'm going to have this discussion about Jacob deGrom in the future when we talk about how starting pitchers have sort of been a little bit devalued in the sense of going length and what they can do and all these things, of talking about peaks in career. I think that also, like Chase Utley at his peak, right? The 5-year peak, unbelievable. For me, Joe Mauer, first off, I have a great respect for the catcher position. It's the hardest position to play. It is so taxing on the body. And to have the 5-year peak that he did is arguably one of the best for a catcher ever. Yeah. And catchers are not built for guys like Yadier Molina to do what he did for as long as he did. And maybe his numbers don't wow, but
Yeah, you got to kind of throw out the war with the catcher position.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So, I think that ultimately, I think when you look at this list, you have a good mix of underdogs. You have the controversial people. You have a little bit of the analytical crowd, and a little bit of the resume. So there's kind of different prongs of this.
And Ulises, I know you're about to answer a question. I know you have some comments on this ballot and some other things, but we first have to tell the audience about something very important, and that is this. You can score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, time to get in on the action, then right this very moment. The app is easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, such as spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So go ahead and do the thing. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn, LOCKEDON, to the NFL season. I'll repeat it again. FanDuel.com/LockedOn, LOCKEDON. To kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, they are the official partner of the NFL. All right, Ulises.
I was going to do a very, in my opinion, good segue, saying that if you wanted to, take controversial opinions and maybe putting some green Skittles on CJ Stroud making the Hall of Fame one day, then maybe you should do that. But it seemed like you read my mind.
Yes. Couple things here. I don't know if we're going to necessarily, you can go back and listen to the show earlier this week where Ulises and I revealed our ballots, but one name at least that both Ulises and I had checkmarked or highlighted was Bobby Abreu. I see that name is absent from your list here, Evan.
Yeah. We can make arguments for so many of these players. What would be your argument for Bieber? And that's not to say, and I don't say that as like, who are you taking Abreu over, and why do you think he's deserving?
I would say for the first one, I don't think
Ulises' first point, he's Venezuelan. Okay.
I was
left David Wright off. Okay.
I was already putting that as an understood point. Okay, so I guess second point.
He's Venezuelan.
Look, when you 2020 season still should matter. He did this 7 times, and then he did 30-30 2 times in a row. The 2020s in a row, like. This was an incredible career that if he were to have had his debut instead of 97, be it 2007, this guy would have been like the darling of the analytics. I mean, the fact that in a 18-year career, he has almost a 400 on base, people would have been licking their chops at putting this guy on their team. So looking at the ballot, I don't even think I need to make room. It's not like I'm like, oh man, I have like 15 guys. I really don't, because for me, and this is where I want to kind of lead the discussion for the second segment here before we get to Fun Friday trivia and Name That War, is you have some names that me and Kevin do not, which are steroid based. So for me, I don't have to take anybody off because in my case, I'm not going to vote for steroid guys until it's their last year, kind of like a penalty of sorts. We came up with that. So I wouldn't have to take anybody off really to put Abreu in.
I'm not a big, my opinion, I'm not a big penalty in the voting type of guy. Like, if you deserve to be in, I'm going to vote for you. And then if you are on the, if it comes down to where there's 11, 12 names and I got to make some tough choices and do what I have you. But when it comes to the steroid stuff, nobody is saying that you have to omit that from the explanation of their career, in how we sort of define them or whatever. Alex Rodriguez was suspended for steroids. We know this. That could be stated. But I don't see how Alex Rodriguez, Mark McGuire, these people are not Hall of Fame worthy with, with notable negative connotations with it. But they were some of the most dominant players during a time where steroids ran rampant.
Yeah.
And we probably don't even know the half of it. But in that time and space, there were people who said they were never going to do it, and there were people that did. But it was the wild, wild west, and they were not the only ones. They were not sole actors. It was a really messed up situation in baseball, a black stain for sure. But in that, it should be noted that they were a part of the steroid era. And same thing with Bonds, all these people. It just, to me, I think omitting history, even when it's ugly, is a slippery slope that we can't always just say this is the good part of our history, so we reward that and then we ignore the bad. We have to also explain the bad.
So, and I know Ulises has something up there comparing the numbers between David Wright.
I know I should be giving David Wright my vote.
Yeah, but before we get to that, Evan, so I guess you're going in a different direction than most of the BBWAA populace. Obviously, they're waiting on Manny Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez, Gary Sheffield, and so many others. So if in their first year of eligibility, would you have cast a vote for them? You wouldn't have given them any penalty or the like?
No.
Okay.
But and maybe I'm in the minority for not giving a crap about that stuff. I just don't.
Okay.
To
so
me,
yeah,
you're in.
And that's why we've kind of, I've kind of played a little game where I'm given, character penalties, if you will. Some off the field, some on the field, which is why some of my votes are a little bit different there. The other thing that I noticed, and Ulises, you might have observed this as well with Evan's ballot, Billy Wagner check mark, which I agree with 100%.
Of course.
But
Yep.
You are not including Francisco Rodriguez. Why? He's got a pretty remarkable story. Now, I didn't vote for him. I wouldn't have voted for him this year because of the domestic violence allegations and so forth. But obviously, that's not part of your equation or algorithm of because he has, issues.
Let it be known. I believe Schilling should be in there, right? And now Schilling, his stuff is way more personal than baseball. I don't understand how. Now we can all disagree with the personal stuff, but I think that as far as Curt Schilling, the baseball player, now, I think those things matter, and there is the character clause in the in the voting and all this stuff. K-Rod, Jose Reyes, those things, people want to make that a factor. I certainly not going to disagree with that.
But you're not making a factor in this case. I'm just wondering why.
Yeah. I just, when I look back on K-Rod's career, while his peak was unbelievable, I do, and this isn't like a never, just because you don't make it isn't like you're never going to get checkmarked again. But with everybody else, and again, I would have to really, like, if I were truly voting on these things, I would take off from work and spend like 8 hours on this. Like, I would do a whole deep dive and really develop like a thorough essay onto why I did everybody and why I left who I did out. But just off the top of my head, in a first glance type of deal, I just felt like a lot of people have memories of K-Rod being fairly shaky, and maybe a little bit uncomfortable of when he came in and the types of saves he produced. It's just one of those things where, as someone who now I can speak of how like lived through his career,
Right.
Like I this isn't like, the 80s and the 90s where I'm looking at numbers and saying like, how the hell is this guy being disrespected? Like, I lived and watched all of K-Rod's career, and my connotation of him is like, like he's the guy that's going to come in, load the bases, and get out of it. It was just like he was a little bit of a magician in that sense. But that's no demerit to his career. That's just sort of like my head. It was always like, this isn't going to be an easy process.
Yeah,
that's fair enough. That's fair. And he was a Met, so you did see him up close.
I did, and certainly I don't think that was part of his peak. But he also was not as bad as Met fans, I think, would tell you either. So
yeah.
Not saying that Wikipedia is always 100% accurate, but the Bobby Abreu question, he has been a single-season league leader in games played twice, doubles and triples. He had 2 seasons in which he collected 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases, making him one of 13 players to have achieved the 30-30 club twice in a career. Through 2014, he led active ball players in doubles, walks, and outfield assists, was 5th in runs scored and stolen bases, 7th in extra base hits and on-base percentage, and 10th in RBI. He is also one of only 7 players ever to have recorded at least 900 career extra base hits and steal at least 400 bases. The others, never heard of these guys, but I'll give you the names regardless. Barry Bonds, Ty Cobb, Tris Speaker, Craig Biggio, Honus Wagner, and Paul Molitor.
Deserving.
But Bobby Abreu, only a 2-time All-Star, and I think he was just never...
He was never given...
If he had played in pinstripes his entire career, it'd be a different story.
He never
played. He played in Philly. He played in the... I don't even...
The bad years of Philly, maybe.
Philly of 98 to 2005 was horrible.
Yeah, no, I get that. But, Philly's a pretty big market. But I'm just saying, I personally don't weigh all-stars too much. At least in baseball, right? In general, I guess. I think NHL all-stars, it's pretty hard to be an NHL all-star. They only take like 1 or 2 from a team, and it's very they're tough nuts to crack, but it's also flawed too, because like if the Lightning have Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point or Stammer's deserving, well, you don't get it because they also have Andrei Vasilevsky and they needed a goalie, and they also have Victor Hedman. So it's like, well, you were never going to get taken because it was like literally one of the best ever forwards in your time, one of the best defenders in your time, one of the best goalies in your time. And even though Stammer's going to go down as one of the most prolific goal scorers in the league, it's like, he should have more all-stars, even though he's got plenty. But I think all-stars are generally overrated. Like in the NFL, I value all-pro. I think most people do, because that's really just sort of like full year where you rank amongst everybody. I think in baseball, when you win like Silver Sluggers, all those type of end of the year awards, I think those matter a little bit more because you're taking in the entire season. How many guys have shot out of a cannon first half of the year, made an all-star, and then,
So many.
So it's like, what does that say? It
Not
says
to
that you had a
our
tremendous April, May, June. That's what it tells you. You had
not to put a lot of dirt on our own, but Joey Wendell's 2021.
Yeah, for sure. And he was deserving then, but like it just...
I 100% agree with what you're saying.
Right? Yeah, no, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah. It's just like, it's like, so like for me, I just hope people don't use that as a demerit.
I hope so, but I think they do.
Good transition here. I had a previous trivia question for Ulises and Evan, but on the fly, speaking of all-star rosters and so forth, I'm going to change it up just a tad. Looking at this list, there are I counted. Let me count just to double check here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 individuals who have been on an all-star roster, MLB all-star roster, 15 or more times in their career. So 14 players who have garnered 15 or more all-star appearances. I want 6 of those 14.
Pujols?
Do you want to ping pong, Evan?
Do you want to discuss? Let's do this discussion. Pujols?
I would say, well, he said 15 times?
Sit 15.
15. 14 players who have made an all-star.
Well, Pujols debuted in 2001. How many years was he with the Angels? In 2013 or 2012, he signed that contract. So he maybe made 3 more appearances with the Angels, maybe 3. And then with the Cardinals, basically 10. I don't know. I think he doesn't make it.
He's a little short.
Yeah.
I thought Jeter.
I think that's safe.
Derek Jeter, strike one, he had 14.
Oh my God! Of course. Okay, this is
okay.
What we're dealing
Easy
with.
I'll give you a little bit of a hint.
All right.
There's not a lot of modern players.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's go easy. Willie Mays.
Willie Mays, correct.
Hank Aaron.
20.
Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron, most of all time, 21.
Mickey Mantle.
Correct. He had 16.
Joe DiMaggio?
Strike 2.
Okay, let's not freak out.
He served in the war, so.
It's good. Yeah, it's a good point.
Okay, Evan, discussion, not an actual thing, Kevin. Does Ted Williams make it even though he did fight in the war and he's a ball?
Now I'm a little nervous on that one.
Okay, fair. We can put a pin on it. Roberto Clemente?
Roberto Clemente, just clarifying.
Evan, how do you feel about Clemente?
Did he have 15?
I mean, he had 3,000 hits. So in order to get, like, on the nose, by the way. So in order to get 3,000 hits, and if you're doing that by hitting 200 hits every season, that's 15 seasons of 200. So he must have played more than 15 seasons.
Is there
another big name that we're missing?
Several, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, Babe Ruth, right? Evan, not Kevin.
Yeah, we'll go Babe Ruth.
Okay, Babe Ruth. Strike 3. I will give you the names. Hank Aaron, number 1. Willie Mays, number 2.
Frank Robinson, Brooks Robinson, like those people.
Cal Ripken Jr.
Oh, Cal Ripken.
Rod Carew. Carl Yastrzemski. He fought in the war and still made 17 All-Star appearances. Ted Williams.
Damn it, I was right.
Damn, it's my fault. I got nervous. I nervous.
I made up.
Mr. FanDuel himself, Pete Rose, Mickey Mantle, the very wise man Yogi Berra, Al Kaline, Brooks Robinson.
These are huge names. Yeah, there you go.
Chewing tobacco took him way too young. Tony Gwynn.
Oof.
Ozzie Smith. And that's the list.
Awesome names.
It's a good list of names right there.
Yeah.
Awesome names.
It's such a All-Stars it's a difficult one. It's not like running through like all home run hitters because it's just like you have to guess length and were you healthy and
yeah. Well, you know what? Now you're gonna guess again because let's play Name That War. And that is when we take a player from the past and we try to guess their career war according to Baseball Reference using our Baseball Archive Mind. And today, that player from the past wore pinstripes, just not black ones. His name, he probably howls and he probably has heard that many a times. Randy Wolf. What is Randy Wolf's
Randy Wolf
career war? And boys, we're basically out of time, so I'm gonna need some speed thinking here.
Oh my. Okay. Off the top of the. So if I can't go through any thoughts here.
No. I'll give you some time.
Man, Randy Wolf. Are you kidding me? Screw. I don't know. I'm going.
Well, you're thinking. I'm
not even gonna take a good guess here. I'm going 15-5, and I just want to bow out. 15-5.
Okay.
That's not a bad guess. I think Randy Wolf played at least a decade in the league, probably 12 to 13 years. Never made an all-star appearance, if I had to guess. His career ERA was probably like 4.7, 4.8. I get innings eater vibes, Joe Blanton-esque vibes from him.
Joe Blanton. That's another guy that we got.
Yeah, it's a great name, that war.
Yeah. And I think Evan's probably pretty on the money there. I'm gonna under it and say 14.
Why did I pick Randy Wolf? Because he was a teammate of future Hall of Famer Bobby Abreu with the Philadelphia Phillies. He has a career WAR of 22.8. All right. And how did he get that? Well, he has a career record of 133 and 125, an ERA of 4.24, an ERA plus of 99. So just one tick below average. He was an innings eater, crossing the 200 inning threshold many a times, and a career total of 2,328 and a third innings pitched. So, by the way, one All-Star game in 2003.
By the way, Joe Blanton, 11.8.
All right, that's fair.
No All-Star. He was sixth in Rookie of the Year voting.
Cool.
I didn't respect Randy Wolf. I thought his ERA was going to be higher, but he surprised me. I must have been focused on his latter years where they weren't so hot. So,
yeah.
All right. Very good. Love that. Hopefully the listeners enjoyed that as well. Evan, any big TV appearances or anything this weekend people should be watching out for?
Yeah, you know what? Check out the Blitz every Sunday on 10 Tampa Bay at 8:30 in the morning. We get you prepared for the Buccaneers contest later that day. Just like this week they're hosting the Carolina Panthers at 4:05 on 10 Tampa Bay. Next week it's against the Falcons on 10 Tampa Bay. So you can watch that on our TV channel. You can DVR it. You can go to our YouTube page and watch it later that Sunday if you don't want to wake up at 8:30. Or you can actually go find it on our 10 Tampa Bay Plus app. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, no excuse not to find it.
No excuse.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And don't tell me that you got a potato for Wi-Fi. You can get it.
Well, yeah, I just go to a sports bar to watch the game. So it works out. All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you next week.